Hello, I cannot hear you.
Hello.
Okay, I can hear.
So let us start. Good evening, everyone. Today we are diving into the critical challenges of our time, which is AI bias and their ethical issue. As AI became more integrated into our lives, even in like high-stake decision making, understanding and tackling them has become more important than anything else. So in today's presentation, we will explore papers that bridge the gap between abstract ethical concern and real-world impact caused by the AI bias. So these are our team members, and we are going to discuss about two papers each. First, let's look at the first paper, which is about AI bias in medical imaging. So medical imaging, like MRI reading, is a field where having AI bias can literally be a matter of life or death. So this paper highlights how AI models, which are eventually designed to assist data, can create serious problems if they are not built properly. So the core problem we found is that models are getting trained on selected few demographics of patients and specific phenotype. So our models AI models, they are as only good as the data they learn from. Like if an AI is trained on the medical scan from one ethnicity or only from brand a new high-tech MRI machine uh, in urban hospitals, it might fail one encountering scan from like different ethnic group or ultra equipment in the rural clinic. So the key findings from the paper are AI model. The key finding from the paper are AI model having bias like selection bias and measurement bias. So I think of it like this: imaging and AI trained to detect early signs of a brain tumor. So if that AI was mostly trained on the scan from younger European people, it might perform poorly on scan for older Asian people. That is the kind of selection bias which is having limited patient diversity in the training data set for the model. And if the training data came from only one brand of MRI scanner and then the AI is used with the images from a different brand, it might misinterpret the image quality or subtle different visual cues from that particular MRI scan. So, which is caused by the measurement bias of having equipment and quality inconsistency in the training data. So having those kind of bias in the model can lead to critical impact, for example, like causing life-threatening misdiagnosis for the unrepresented group of people because of the poor generalizability of the model itself. So the author of the paper describes that the solution to making AI models that are reliable for the medical use is letting the AI train upon the rigorous, diverse data collection and mandatory for constant fairness check to ensure that the AI model is reliable for everyone, not just a selected few. So moving from medical imaging, our second paper is about the real world AI ethics issues. So this take a broader look at AI failures by examining a dual incident. So the paper they powerfully argues that AI ethical issues are not just theoretical, they are documented incidents causing real harm to people. So the researcher they didn't just speculate about the theory, they did analyze the AI incident database, which collects the report of AI malfunction or bias to identify the actual failure. So the method of analyzing the incident database allowed them to create a like concrete taxonomy of hand. From the analysis of the database, the key findings we got is that the racial bias isn't the theoretical thing. We have seen cases of facial recognition system. They misidentify people of color at much higher rate than white individual, which has led to like wrongful arrest for the color people. We can now see that the bias is kind of systemic. it is not an accident. Like it is often embedded in the like real world data and then the social context that AI learn from. So like if the training data like contain human bias, then the AI will learn and perpetuate those kind of bias, which can lead to like racial discrimination and misuse of power. So this paper is like a wake up call to us. It show like we are making the AI system and then like we left them unchecked. They can amplify the existing social injustice. So the solution for those for like mitigating those bias kind of clear. So we need to move from abstract ethical discussion to mandatory auditing, like strict regulation and real accountability, so that when we apply AI model, they can truly serve humanity fairly and equally. So now let me pass this to my next member to discuss more about the AI ethics and bias in like modern AI system.
Thank you, Miriam. Continuing from what you have shared, I'll now discuss the ethical dimension of artificial intelligence, focusing on two papers. So good evening. My name is Aung Myint Myat, and today I will be presenting insights from two research papers that focus on one of the most important challenges in artificial intelligence, ethics and bias. The first paper is titled AI Ethics, Integrating Transparency, Fairness, and Privacy in AI System. And the second is Biases in AI, Acknowledging and Addressing the Inevitable Ethical Challenges. Both papers discuss how artificial intelligence can intentionally harm individuals or communities if it is not designed responsibly. In this presentation, I will briefly summarize the core problems, key findings, impact, and solutions of each paper. By the end, you will understand how transparency, fairness, and privacy can help build a more trustworthy AI ecosystem, and how addressing bias is essential for that goal. And the first paper focused on how to ethically integrate transparency, fairness, and privacy into AI systems. So AI is increasingly used in decision making, from hiring and healthcare to criminal justice. So users often have no idea why AI made a certain decision. This is lack of transparency. So this can create mistrust and fear. So researchers found that transparency tools such as uh, model explanation dashboards make AI decision understandable to non-technical users. So fairness can also be quantified through mathematical metrics, allowing us to measure if an algorithm treat all groups equally. Another major focus is privacy. So techniques like differential privacy and federated learning enable data sharing and model improvement without exposing sensitive information. So these combined approaches strengthen public trust and ensure compliance with global regulations like GDPR and AI Act. And the paper recommend building a holistic ethical AI framework. So integrating transparency dashboards, bias monitoring modules, and privacy layers into the entire development pipeline. So this ensures that AI isn't just an afterthought, but a core part of AI system design. So the second paper takes a closer look at bias, which is one of the most difficult ethical issues in AI. So biases often come from historical or imbalanced data. For example, a hiring model might favor one gender or ethnicity simply because past data reflect bias hiring practices. So the author identified that bias doesn't only exist in data set, but also in model architecture and the developer's own assumption. They propose regular bias audits, fairness testing, and model retraining to detect and reduce discrimination. So when bias goes unchecked, it leads to unfair decisions, public backlash, and even legal penalties. But when we address bias early, we promote equality and reliability in AI outcomes. The paper suggests a continuous bias detection pipeline. This pipeline monitors datasets and outputs for bias during every model update. Techniques like resampling, adversarial debiasing, and fairness constraints are used to correct it. Overall, this research teaches that bias is not something we can completely eliminate, but it's something we must continuously manage. So to conclude, both paper remind us AI is not just about performance accuracy, it is all about responsibility. So transparency and privacy create trust, while fairness and bias management create justice. So combining these ethical dimensions give us a vision of AI that truly serve humanity rather than harms it. So that concludes my session on the ethical challenges and bias management in AI. Now I'd like to hand over to Kenzie Adud, who will continue the presentation.
Hello, now I will be taking over. The paper I will be reviewing is Bias Amplification, Large Language Models as Increasingly Biased Media. So if we take a look at the core problem, the paper shows that how GPT-2 can intentionally amplify political bias when it is retrained on its own outputs. So each retraining cycle form a feedback loop, pushing the model farther toward one political side, even if the uh, model set the data set from the start comes from the neutral standpoint. So after the key findings for that is GPT-2 becomes increasingly right-leaning after multiple rounds of synthetic training. So bias grows even when the model stays fluent. If it writes well, but fairness quietly declines. Metrics like perplexity can't really detect bias, so models may seem better, but in the underneath, it is becoming more politically biased. So for the impact, this shows that how AI systems can intentionally reinforce societal or political bias. So this also turns AI into a biased media source. It can reinforce polarization and misinformation. So this chart shows GPT-2 shifting from balanced to right-leaning text across generations. Now, for the solution of it, to find the solution, the researchers have tested three methods: overfitting, preservation, and accumulation. When they have tried the overfitting, it slowed down the political bias, but in the end it hurts the model quality. For preservation, it kept the model quality, but the political bias is shifted. And for accumulation, it gives a good non-biased output, and it also didn't collapse, but it is very highly costly computationally, so it is not fully effective. So for conclusion of their test, none of the methods fully actually work, and we need more mitigation methods to fully solve the problem. So the conclusion for this paper will be that the papers wants that the AI models can learn their own biases even more deeply over time. Even if the model seems to be improving, understanding that this feedback loop is essential for designing future models that are not only smart, but has to be socially fair. The next paper I reviewed is liability for AI agents. So let's take a look into core problems. AI system acts with autonomy, but it lack legal personhood. So who is reliable when they've caused a real harm? So since AI, so this is what the researcher has was trying to find. So for the key finding, it says that the current laws already fit AI regulation if it is applied properly. So for example, bad data set can be treated as data defect, so it can be legally upholded for black box opacity. Like in a situation where non-parties can be fully blamed, it can be handled through probabilistic causation, like in medical practice. So AI so it says that AI challenges law, but it doesn't fully break the entire law infrastructure that is existing right now. So for impact, recognizing that AI novelty doesn't erase human responsibility. So and it prevents it also not prevent both over and under regulations. So it says so the developers must be stay accountable for their design, and deployers, the users, must be responsible for their usage. So for solution, we can say that the researchers say that developers are liable for unsafe. All parties are liable. The developers are liable for unsafe design. Deployers will be liable for negligence, and victims, if there are any damage, they can be protected by insurance or relaxed proof rules. So the conclusion is that AI doesn't need new law. We just need to be smart with more smart with the existing law structure. By fine-tuning responsibility rather than rewriting rules, we can keep both ethics and innovations aligned. So the next presenter will be Aung Myint Myat.
Hi, I'm Aung Myint Myat, and today I will present two literature reviews on ethical consideration and bias of AI and machine learning in healthcare. The first one is reviewed by Dilala and colleagues, highlighting how AI is transforming healthcare through diagnostic and predictive analytics, but also raised critical and ethical risks like bias, lack of transparency, and accountability challenges. Now, onto the problem slide for the review, literature review by Dilala. The main ethical challenges include the absence of unifying government framework for high-stake AI tools. Patient privacy and data security are difficult to manage, and the algorithmic bias can lead to unfair outcomes for certain groups, like discrimination against the racial discrimination against certain type of people. And additionally, many AI systems are black box, making decisions hard to explain, and responsibility for errors is often unclear, like who is responsible for this error. Now onto the solution slide. And to address this problem, the author suggests applying the bioethical principle like biofitness and non-maleficence and autonomy and justice principle. Fairness-aware algorithm and explainable AI tools such as Line and Sharp can improve transparency and trust. For example, the IBM Watson for oncology initially gave the flawed treatment recommendation due to the biased data, and which can highlight the need for clinical validation and ethical oversight. Now onto the literature review too, which is reviewed by the Hannah and the colleges, and focus on the AI and machine learning in pathology, where errors can directly affect the patient outcome. Ethical and bias consideration are essential for safe and trustworthy and responsible deployment of the AI. And the review emphasized the importance of the standardized government framework and bias mitigation and explainability in the clinical practice. And now moving on to the solution slide. The key issue include the data bias, where AI is trained and unrepresented population, where AI trained on the unrepresentative population can perform poorly for some group. Like if the AI is trained with the data of the white people, then the performance on the black people and some Asian people maybe we perform poorly compared to the white people. So the algorithmic opacity also make the accountability difficult, and responsibility for error is often unclear. Like we can see the input, output, and the output of the AI, but we don't know how the decision came to be. Like the AI, that it as long as it's in review, its reasons and concern, like Is it fair or is it biased? Moreover, there is no standardized framework ensuring the fair outcome across all clinical AI. Now, onto the solution slide for the review tool. And the solution slide include the conducting bias and audits, applying the fairness metric and using the multi-institutional representative dataset, and implementing ethical government framework and transparent reporting like console AI guideline further ensure the fairness and accountability. For instance, the US healthcare AI initially prioritized white patients due to their biased data, but retraining with the diverse dataset corrected the bias and improved their fairness. Now, in conclusion, we have come to conclude that the AI and machine learning can greatly enhance the decision-making and healthcare and efficiency. And we also need to keep in mind that transparency to understand how AI make the decision is essential. And also we need to keep in mind the ethical side of the AI or developer organizations who are responsible for ethical AI deployment. And we have also came to find out that some challenges like bias and ethical use of and ethical use can lead to unfair and harmful outcome. And the algorithm need to be for the bias, for the fairness and bias, the algorithm need to be monitored to prevent such discrimination. And in the future, we believe that ethical and fair AI is the key to building trust and social benefit. Thank you. And now that we have covered a lot of ground today on the AI and ethical issue and bias from medical imaging to large language model liability. Now we would like to open the floor for your question and insight. What challenges or opportunity do you foresee in the implementing ethical AI practice within your domain?
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your presentation. So let me ask the questions to the first presenter, first candidate first. So Myint Myat, based on your presented and also your research AI topics, right? So can you explain me what types of the bias can occur in your AI-based medical imaging systems?
It is, as I explained in the presentation, the selection bias we can fall because like if the like imaging model is trained on like one ethnic group, like I say one like only European mix, it can fail to detect it encountering scan from like Asian woman. So and also like we can also have like measurement bias. Like if the data is only trained from only one MRI like brand type, it can be failed when it is encountering the scan from other type of MRI.
Okay, thank you. So for the Myint, right? So can you explain me what AI ethics means and how it is important in today's technology landscape?
Yes. So as I presented earlier.
No. Like the second presenter is like Myint, right? My question
Okay.
is to the Myint.
Oh, yes. Like AI, I think means like means the rules, principles, and like values that guides how artificial intelligence should be created, like used and in control to make sure it is responsible, fair, and safe for people and society.
Okay, thanks. So that one would be Ken the right? So based on your literature review, so what kinds of the bias can occur in LLM, large language models?
First of all, selection bias, because the next bias will be iterative iterative loops. So the bias comes from retraining its own generated data rather than using the real world data set again and again.
Yeah, how can we overcome this bias?
The author suggests that uh, we by in each training cycle, we can kind of mix the AI trained data and real world data in each training cycle, so the data won't be politically biased in the
Mm,
end. Yeah.
okay, thank you. So my last question is about like Myint, right? So what are the main ethical concerns that rise when implementing the machine learning systems?
So in my scenario, the ethical concern is that the AI should improve. AI should focus on the help. AI should mainly focus on the patient health and clinical outcome. Like uh, the thing is that the bias and which come to the bias. For example, the data bias. If the for example, like the example I given the U.S. government, the U.S. AI healthcare. Uh, First, because of the biased data, they often prioritize the white patient, white patient, and then the black patient. So as a result, there were uh, so many harm on them. But with the right training, right, they can improve the data. So when those problems occurs, the ethical concern is that who is responsible for such damages, right? So there is because there is no firm framework for such issue, the responsibilities and the accountability, they are often unclear and right now it is still unclear and it's still an issue today. And there are some laws, but they are not fully integrated right now. So that's the main ethical concern for my papers.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a nice day. Thanks for your presentation. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.